Ricky, how the devil are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Welcome onto the Conquer Food podcast. The second, maybe third time you've been on now.
Third time, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I love having you on the show because when we look at everything that we do, very few people have got as much experience about stuff as you have, and very few people can put it across in the manner that you do. So I'm quite excited about this. I've got a couple of questions that I'm going to go through, but then we're going to freestyle it and see how we get on.
Cool.
So a little bit of intro for Ricky. Ricky comes from Essex originally. He started with Team Bootcamp in September 2018 on the Conquer Food programme.
Yep.
After 14 weeks, he'd lost an incredible 18 stone in weight. Eight. Jesus Christ.
18 would be a bit impressive.
Getting a bit carried away. 8 stone, which is still a significant amount of weight, I think you'll agree. And then by the end of his time at Team Bootcamp, he'd lost 14 stone
that's right.
in total.
Yeah.
Huge amount of weight. Completely life-changing. He's now a chef. He's now part of the team.
I am indeed.
And he takes care of a lot of the food and everything at Team Bootcamp. So not only has he got the experience of being on the Conquer Food programme and being a boot camper, but he's also, and losing a shit ton of weight, let's face it, but he's also got experience as being part of the team that create the results as well, and a big part of it. So, Ricky, anything I missed from that little intro?
Oh, I don't know. It feels like I've only been here a few weeks, but also like I've been here a lifetime. It's one of those sort of weird experiences, boot camp, where I know we don't like calling it a bubble, but it is very much has that bubble feel to it in the sense that it's a whole world of its own. Yeah. So I think hearing all that listed off in that way, it's like, yeah, okay, that did happen in the last year and a half, but it feels like it's just it's kind of insignificant the time it took and how long I've been here and everything like that. It's just I'm here. And it's team, it's what it is, this is part of my life now, sort of thing. Yeah, it's amazing to think. I mean, and this bubble just got bigger as well with the featuring on the documentary on the BBC that we've just done, which of course you was in. Had my little cameo in that, yeah. You did a little cameo, which was great. So if we could just dive in, and the people watching this, perhaps they've got some weight to lose, perhaps they don't know where to start, they can't find the motivation, the determination, whatever it is. And perhaps have never even been to Team Bootcamp or heard of the Conquer Food programme. So it'd be amazing if we could get some of the big hitting tips from you, things that you now know to be significant that perhaps you never even thought about before. I mean, I take it before you came to camp, it was very much about trying to control calories and restrict food and all that kind of stuff. I think it's the same story as a lot of people who are trying to lose weight have. I tried everything. I say I've tried everything. I tried all the different fad diets that are out there. I'd done Slimming World, I'd done Weight Watchers. I don't want to name them all because I don't want to give them too much time because half of them are useless. But, I'd done the really rubbish shake diets. I'd had a PT from the age of 15 on till I came to camp. So, I always thought I was doing the right things. But what I don't think you realise until you come to camp is that none of that actually really matters. The diet and the exercise are so minimal in your progress in weight loss. And it's all about the mentality and the mindset. And that everyone's the same. Like, nobody on a weight loss journey is any different. They're all trying to strive towards the same common goal, and they're all struggling. And it's not until you come somewhere like this, where there is a sort of community of people that are in that position, that you realise that you're not the only one. You're not that person that's just sitting there going, why I'm the only one that can't do this? Why is everyone around me okay? Why are my friends all a healthy weight? Why, I've got friends who are bigger, obviously, and we share some of the same common values. But when you're friends, I think it's different if in your sort of, I don't want to call it normal life, but in your sort of pre-bootcamp life or your, post-bootcamp life, it's different atmosphere because you're all here and you're all slugging your guts out to get to where you want to be. But I'm trying to think how to sort of put it in words, but it's everyone is the same. Everyone has that same underlying thought process that they can't do it, and it's something internal or biological or psychological, whatever it is, that they'll never be able to lose weight. And until you come here, you don't really know that actually, that's rubbish. Well, I mean, I've interviewed a lot of people for this podcast now, and a lot of them say, it's in your mind. The mind is a really powerful thing. It starts there and all that. But people like listening to this and watching this, they'll be like, well, yeah, I've heard about all this thinking positive shit. Yeah. And I've tried that, you know what I mean? But when you get up in the morning and then you have a series of events that just tell you that today is going to be another shit day, and you get on the scales and you're the same weight, I mean, that's really hard. Oh, God, So
Can you give us something specific that you do that has made a significant change in your image and your weight loss and all that?
Okay, yeah. I think firstly, I think it'd be wrong of me to make it look like it's been easy since I get into Team Bootcamp. You know, since that September the 2018, that I've had an easy ride and I've got to here and I've lost all this weight and it's brilliant and life's changed and it's all the same now. I'm healthy, because what is healthy at the end of the day? You know, it's kind of one of those things, isn't it? What is happy, what is healthy, you know? But I still struggle. We all still struggle. Like, you'll never lose that, because that's how the body is, and that's how I think people who struggle with their weight will always struggle to fight that want to eat.
There's always going to be a demon there.
Yeah, 100%.
That is like, I could just have the old bag, or I could, whatever.
And I think it's like you said, everyone goes, "Oh, I've tried this bollocks. You know, I think positive all the time. I'd really try." But the biggest thing is that I've learned, when I lose motivation, it's because I realise later that I've stopped doing those things. It's not about doing them for a day. It's not about doing them for a week. It's about always doing them. It's a consistent, lifelong process. And you will have shit days. You will have shit weeks. That's life. But it's not about wallowing in it and going, well, it doesn't work. I can't do it. It's about going, I own this. I've had a really shit day. I've eaten 20,000 calories in a day, and that's something I haven't done for a year. But now what do? Do I carry on doing that and then go back to where I was a year ago after this amazing sort of transformation I've gone through? Or do I go, right, I own that choice. I enjoyed myself, actually. I don't really care anymore. Tomorrow's a new day. And then you start again. That's what it is. It's just picking yourself up constantly.
But I mean, it takes some strength, doesn't it, to pick yourself up constantly? I mean, where do you find strength?
Where do I find strength? It is hard, and it is, for me, it's always been about my support network. I've got a great family and friends at home who have always been supportive and always tried to help me with everything. But I think, again, like I said before, when it's family and friends, it's different. You almost resent it in a really stupid way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when I'm talking to Paula sometimes, I can say, look, here's a bit of advice, and she'll fly off the handle, you know what I mean? She'll be like, how do you think? All right, okay, fair enough. It's because we're too close.
Exactly.
Sometimes when you're in the picture, you can't see the frame. And
100%. That's exactly what it is. And I think it's because I've got this different support network now that is purely based around that side of my life. And that I've learned everything from them not everything, because you never stop learning, but I've learned a lot from them of how to deal with things. Through this journey, I've then gone on and done the NLP practitioner course and the hypnotherapy course. And for me, that was a massive change for me, because understanding the workings behind it, for me, really works, because I like to know how things work. I'm rubbish at just seeing something happen, like magic tricks. Wind me up beyond belief, because I'm like, I don't give a shit why you've done it and that it's happened. I want to know how you did it. So it's kind of that thing, it's that, and it's not, I'm not saying it's magic, but that it's that thing. I need to know how it works to understand it, to then put it into practice. So for me, that's a big part of it, is knowing how the background works, if you see what I'm saying. But it's hard. There's no one size fits all for this. It's kind of finding what works for you. For me, I really find when I'm using meditation, it helps a lot, especially with my sleep and just my motivation in the mornings. Little things, we watch a podcast at camp. I can never remember his name, the Navy SEAL.
Jocko
No, the Ring the Bell guy.
David
Admiral.
Goggins.
Yeah.
No,
the Admiral who, with the make your bed in the morning.
Mean,
I can't think what his name is, but yeah.
No, I can't remember.
But it's that thing. And he says, start your day with a win, make your bed. And whenever I do that, I know it's my day's better. Because I've done that one thing in the morning that's gone completed the task. Because I was very much a stereotypical big guy when I was before camp. It was in the mornings, I'd roll out of bed, I'd struggle to put my clothes on, get myself dressed, washed, whatever it is. And if I had work at the time, I was going to work and I was just like half asleep, basically a zombie throughout the day, because I hadn't really got going at any point. I was relying on food and coffee to get me through the day. And really had very little motivation for life at all, to be honest. And then you sort of realise these little things actually make a huge difference in the larger scale. It's kind of the reverse of, we worry about the little things, not the big things. So I was talking to somebody about it. It might have been Georgia. I can't remember who I was talking about. Georgia or Nick, probably. But we worry about these tiny little issues in our life that are so insignificant. We worry about money. We worry about what we put in our mouths every second of every day, which is important, but it's not the end of the world, But we never actually think, there could be something massive going on in your life and you ignore it because it's much easier to ignore that and deal with the little issues that you don't care about really, but you think you care about. So the opposite of that is if you fix the little things, the big things fall into place. And I think that for me is that when I'm doing things like that, makes a huge difference. So I'm doing the little things, doing 5 minutes meditation before I go to bed, making my bed in the morning, keeping on top of my laundry, silly things like that makes a huge difference to my whole life.
So from what I'm hearing then, you're saying that like having a routine or little succession initiators, you know what I mean? Little things that you do just set off a series of events and you end up having a positive day on the back of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think, it's kind of like a sort of, I guess, anchoring kind of sort of thing. It's putting a positive emotion with an action. It's that kind of idea, I guess. Yeah, and routine. I've always been a person to fight routine, and I've always been like, no, I just go with the flow. It's fine. I don't care if something changes. Which you have to be a little bit like. Flexibility makes you stronger, but you need some base routine. Otherwise, you just end up completely winging it, and everything goes to shit, basically.
So have you got any goals now then, Ricky? Have you?
Yeah. So my biggest goal now is I'm working towards skin surgery. That's my big next goal in the journey, sort of thing. So I need to lose. Well, I don't need to, but I want to lose another sort of 6 or 7 stone really before I have the surgery, because the more you lose before it, the better the surgery will come out and the less likely you have to have another time. And then that's, the biggest barrier for me for that is money. It's a huge amount of money, and there's no support from the NHS or anything for that at all. So I'm looking at trying to raise sort of anywhere between 15 and 20,000 to try and get this skin surgery. So I'll start doing stuff about that sooner rather than later, I think, because it's a lot of money to raise, especially when you're not really raising it for something that a lot of people will see as a genuine cause, if you see what I'm saying.
Do you worry about that surgery? Are you a bit nervous or?
Yeah, I think it's for me, it's kind of like the worry's not so much there because I know I want it. That's even before I even actually got on the journey to losing weight, I knew that when I'd lost the weight, I was going to 100% have that surgery because I didn't want to do all of this work, go through all of this kind of pain and fall downs, get ups, put myself through all this and then still not have a body I'm happy with. Because I know if I'm sat there at, whatever it is, 12, 13 stone, but I've got this big flap of skin over my stomach, I'm going to be pissed off and I'm not going to be happy with myself. And for me, there's no point getting to that stage. So there's little worries, as you know, I've got little medical conditions, underlying medical stuff, heart and asthma and all those sort of things, which are all little extra risks that you don't really want when you go into a surgery that sort of size. But I've met with a surgeon already and spoken to him, and he's pretty confident, and he's done hundreds of them, and that took a lot of the pressure off that side of things. He didn't seem to think it was going to be an issue at all. And I think it's, there's always possible complications, but no, not really. I think it's something I know I want enough that it doesn't really matter what the complications are.
Yeah. So, and is that surgery, do you think it's going to be in the UK, or are you thinking of going abroad? Because I know some people are doing like this medical tourism, aren't they, and going and getting the teeth done and hair transplants.
I just don't trust it. I just think you see so many horror stories coming from it, and I've met. God, can you imagine? Come back and I've got an extra stomach instead of half of one. But yeah, no, I think and to be honest, although the cost difference is probably significant, I've not really looked into it that much. I don't. What's the point in putting extra risk on myself just to get it a little bit cheaper when I know for a fact that this guy is safe, qualified to the level I want him to be, and could do the job?
Lights are going a bit mad. Someone up there knows.
Yeah, I'm being haunted. There we go.
So throughout the whole program and losing weight and all that, I mean, what things like have surprised you? Like, even if it's yourself, if you've surprised yourself or you just learned, you thought, that just shocks me or whatever.
Yeah. I think I'm always surprised at who the person at camp is that's actually struggling the most. You don't always see it. So we get a new group every week, basically. And with the long termers, you get to know them pretty well, and those guys you can kind of read pretty easily. But then you get sort of anything from 5 newbies to 20 newbies every week. And you'll always think, oh, they look like they could, they're going through something, blah, blah, blah. And then it's always the one who's you're not suspecting. You have a little chat with, and they open up massively to you. And also how open people are at camp. That's what is always a surprise, because I think they feel safe there. And that's a big part of it. I think that's a big part of why it works as well, is because people do feel safe there. again, because everyone's going through a common sort of thing. But that's always surprised me, how open people are, how hard it is actually to know who's going through what. And I think that's a big part of what the world's talking about now with mental health and things like that, is that your friend might say they're okay, or somebody you pass in the street every day and you just you build up a bit of a rapport with, might say look fine, but actually if you just stop and talk to them, are they fine really? And that's a big thing. I think people don't stop and talk enough. We've become a world of living on a phone or passing and not saying a word, and it's kind of just going, how are you doing today? Could be a massive game changer. And again, that's another surprise, is how much one phrase can change somebody's life. And you always say it. This could be the week that you say change that person's life. Yeah. And it's true. Like it could just be that 1 second where you said that right thing at that right moment in the right place, and they've changed. And that's it. I think that's a huge thing. People don't understand the power of what they've got when they say things. And again, on the negative, the same.
What just to talk about food a little bit. Mm-hmm. So, is there a food that you've completely given up now that you would have perhaps binged on or eaten before?
I struggle to cut things out completely from my diet, because I'm very much a person who will just crave it constantly until I have it. So there's no real food group I've cut out completely. What I would actually, no, that's not true. Cereal. Cereal's a massive one. I've not eaten cereal since I've come to camp, I don't think. So a year and a half? I may have had a bowl at some point, but I used to literally every morning or even every night, I'll probably eat a box of cereal. and one of those massive hidden sugar things, isn't it? You don't actually realise how much sugar and crap you're eating when you eat cereal. Yeah. And that's alongside the 3 pints of milk you have with it.
Yeah. And do you miss it, or?
Strangely enough, not. There's the odd time when I go, oh, there's a new one out, and I think, I wonder what that tastes like, and you just think, oh, that looks really good. I fancy that one, But it's always the chocolate covered in chocolate with a bit of chocolate on the side ones, and you think, what's the point? I know it's going to taste like, it's going to taste like fucking chocolate.
Yeah. So, and is there a food that you eat now that you didn't before?
Yeah, loads.
Oh, really?
Yeah, olives. Never used to eat olives.
When you eat olives now freely?
Yeah, no problem at all. Funnily enough, that was one of the ones I did on the NLP course. So, like to dislike. So we did a reverse on me for that, and I couldn't eat olives at all. I used to just not me at all. And then we did the little NLP practice on it, and fine now. Just
for people that are listening that don't know what that is, can you
NLP,
summarize it? Well,
the like to dislike. Like to dislike is a thing where you take something you constantly crave. So it could be like somebody's absolutely addicted to Mars bars. They eat them every day, and then you take something they can't think about without gagging, basically. Yeah. So horrible stuff, baby nappies and stuff like that. You get them to conjure an image of both things in their mind, and then you take what's different about them. So one might be in colour, one might be black and white, one might be close up, one might be far back, those sort of things, and then you use them I think it's basically like a hypnosis kind of practice, and you swap over the image categories. So like you turn them to the opposites, and then the idea is if it works properly and they've gone through it in their mind properly, then they will not be able to think about the thing they were addicted to or they were mad about without gagging, because they'll be thinking about the other thing will be sort of stuck in their mind. If you know what I'm saying.
Well, I just did it. I just did the run out in the Arctic, and a friend of mine, he brought peanut M&Ms as his snack to eat, and he said, peanut M&Ms are brilliant. They don't freeze. You can eat them on the run, or blah blah blah. He said, have you not brought any peanut M&Ms? And I said, I haven't touched peanut M&Ms since I did the like to dislike a couple of years ago. And in fact, I've had one New Year's Eve. Me and my little son Matty were sat watching the telly. Everyone else was either in bed or out. And he was eating peanut M&Ms, and he said, do you want a couple of these, Dad? And I was like, yeah, why not? It's New Year's Eve. Put it in my mouth, and I was like, can't do it. And I spat it out. I've not had one since. And I was kind of explaining to my mate Lee Quinn, who I spent a lot of time running with, who brought these peanut M&Ms. I was basically explaining what was going on, and if it wasn't clear what Ricky was saying there, is like, whenever we think of a food, we create a certain amount of programs or feelings or thoughts or images or movies that play in our mind, all these kind of different things, and you do the same when you've got food that you dislike, which is why you can feel like you're going to gip. And then the technique, what it does is it maps the two things across. And I was talking to Lee, and I just happened to mention, if you didn't like fish, you could map, and it makes you gag, you can map it over to peanut M&Ms, yada yada yada. And And it turns out he hates, like his thing makes him
no.
sick is fish with eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fish with eyes, just like, whoa, no, it makes me gag. Anyway, a day into the race, and he's like, you bastard. And I'm like, what's up? What's up? He's like, I cannot touch my peanut M&Ms.
Yeah.
You know.
Which is amazing. It shows how powerful your own brain is, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and this is what you were talking about, I suppose, with like programs, strategies, you know, things that go on in your brain that you just, we leave it unchecked until we know how it works.
Yeah.
You know, like you were saying, you know, I need to know how it works. Well,
Yeah, absolutely.
your brain is this machine that is constantly comparing and you know, and all this kind of stuff. And we just let it run, you know, when we let, you know, a lot of people out there, they would think that they're not in charge of their thoughts, you know?
Oh, God, that was one. So I should have mentioned that when you said about the stuff that's really impacted me. Raz.
Yeah.
Blew my mind, and I always talk about it. I think I talked about it on the podcast before, but RAS completely blew my mind. So for people that don't know that, is a reticular activating system, and so that's the part of your brain that literally is like the filing system in your brain, and everything you see, everything you process through your brain goes there, and it files it away in where it should be, and it goes, you know, stuff that's important, stuff that's not, and there's, I always forget the numbers, but it's like over 1 million things a second you see, and your RAS then cuts it down to like 200 or whatever. It might be less than that.
It's less than that, about 14 or something like that, depending on what you read, yeah.
And so when you really get your head around that, it's things like the car thing. That's a good example they always use is when you buy a Honda, let's say, you'll then suddenly notice, oh, everyone's got a Honda. But it's not, nobody's bought Hondas because you've bought a Honda. It's because you've started noticing them because you've got one. And that's how your RAS works. The more you see something, the more your mind will see it, will pick it up. But you're in control of that. So the more you're positive to yourself, the more your mind will be like, well, that's a good thing. And the more it'll let you do it, and the more it will have a good reaction to it, and vice versa, of course. So if you're more negative, then you're more negative you'll become. So that's why we get stuck in these little pits of negative spirals, and we talk about that a lot, and, you know, and these chains of pain that Paula talks about, you know, we pass on the pain, or we add to the pain of people. They could be going through something, and we just add to it instead of going, well, let's break that cycle, let's break the chain, and then you've got a chance again. You know, it's and it might basically you're in charge of everything. Like nothing that happens to your life isn't in your control, which I always say is bittersweet because you kind of look back and go, well, what you're saying, all the shit that's happened to me up till this point is my fault. But you go, well, yeah, it is. You made the choices to do those things or to feel that way, or you programmed your brain to think that way. But that means that from this day onwards, you can now program your brain again to be what you want it to be, which is, I mean, that's incredible, right?
Mind blowing, yeah. But there are some events that you just cannot control.
Of course, yeah. You can't control people dying, can't control, you know, disease, things like that. You know, not everything's within our control, but the choices you make around how you
reaction
feel.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a great interview with Natalie, the Tourette's teacher.
Yeah,
you know, and it was all about people's response, you know what I mean? Yeah. And their ability to respond. That's, you know, responsibility. It's your responsibility to respond, you know what I mean? Because you've got the ability to respond in whatever way you want. Now, quite often we just respond in a way that's like, you know, if we had a shit day, we respond in a way that's like, I need something to make me feel better, right, I'll grab some food. It doesn't have to be like that, you know, you can take charge of it.
Yeah.
So, what about friendships and that you've made at camp?
God, yeah.
I mean, you've met
thousands. It must.
Yeah, it's got to be thousands. Hasn't it?
It's got to be thousands now.
Yeah,
18 months.
Yeah, it's got to be.
It's got to be the thousands, I reckon. Now, I've got some lifelong friends from camp, and it's incredible. You know, people like Georgia, we started a month. I started a month after Georgia. We basically been on the same journey together. You know, we both did the same basic 12 weeks before Christmas 2018. Both went away for Christmas, came back. I came back as an ambassador. She came back as a camper for another 6 weeks. Then she became an ambassador. Then I became staff, and then she became staff. So we've
mirrored
kind of,
each other.
Yeah, pretty much. And
what traits do you see in Georgia that you admire or you like?
Georgia?
None.
yeah, good, that's what she'd expect me to say. But no, loads. She's incredibly strong. Like she doesn't give herself anywhere near enough credit, but she's super strong. She's gone through so much shit in her life, and if you watch, you know, the Miriam documentary, you'll get a little taste of what she's gone through, but not even close to the reality of where she is and where she's been. And she's considering, like you say, she came to camp and she did not say a word to anyone for 3 weeks, and I mean not a word. And now she's the only one you can bloody hear on camp. She's the loudest person on camp. That's an incredible change. And that's just through losing a little bit of weight, gaining some confidence, changing her own mindset. And she's now this new person, in my opinion. And me and her have been mirrored each other in some negative ways as well. We've both been through some struggles. We both, struggle with the weight again more recently, but we're both trying to get back into it. We are both getting back into it and trying. We are getting back into it. And again, she's one of these people that's very keen to put herself down, and she needs that little kick every now and again to go, fucking stop it. Because actually you're incredible and you've done incredible stuff. So just remember that. Don't think about the right now when you go, I'm not fit as I used to be. I'm not where I want to be right now, right this second. But you're getting there. You're doing something about it. And that's the important part.
Okay, so that's Georgia. Anybody else?
God, there's a lot. I don't want to upset anyone. Obviously Nicola as well. She sort of went on a similar journey to us, but she was a step ahead the whole time because she was already staff when I came. And then she went away for a few months, came back as staff again. But yeah, we've become very close, very good friends. She's very positive. She's really great with the coaching stuff. She's really intelligent. She's on it. She's got that. The people that do the Conquer Food program will know her really well because she runs all the group sessions and the one-to-ones with Paula. And she's on it. She knows what she's doing. And like everyone, struggle, but she has this amazing way of being positive, even when her life is absolutely going through the ringer. Yeah. She'll still have some ridiculous amount of energy. She takes too far sometimes, and she knows it. But that's brilliant for her. I mean, there's many. Steph is coming back in a few weeks. She was there for my time as a Conquer Foodie as well. I'm seeing her. Well, she's coming back, so I'm seeing her then. She's brilliant. She's done amazingly. I mean, she wasn't huge when she came, but she did the Conquer Food more for mindset and more for confidence and getting back into a place where she was happy with herself, which is what it's there for, as well as it's not just about weight loss. I think people don't quite get that sometimes.
Can I just, when we talk, like you was on about like the group sessions there, and I don't know you've never had a problem with like talking, you did a lot of acting before you came to camp and all that kind of stuff, but I mean, what's it like to be in those sessions and then kind of being asked or encouraged to lay some of your darkest secrets on the table or your greatest fears? How did you feel when you was going through that? And how essential was it? Because
so it was a weird one for me. So like you said, I was never a shy person before camp. I was always very much the clown and the loud one, like a lot of bigger people can be, but some of them much quieter. But when I came, I wasn't a big sharer about personal stuff. I wasn't a big sharer about what I was really feeling. And in the group sessions, within a few sessions, and I had Paula and Stu when I was doing Conquer Food, within 2 or 3 sessions, I just felt instantly comfortable within whoever it was walked through that door. I knew that I could say what I needed to say, and it would stay in that room for one, which is important. And for two, it didn't matter because everyone's kind of going through something, and it doesn't really, and nobody's. But it is integral. It's so for me, it's integral. I think people come and they go, I don't feel like sharing today, and you go, that's fine. If you're not feeling like it today, that's fine. But it'll be really good if at some point you can share something. It doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be the main thing that you're really worrying about right now. It doesn't have to be a huge trauma from your past, but just sharing a little bit. Because it's that whole thing of, a problem shared is a problem halved. It's and that's true. Once it's out, it's out, and it's no longer really a problem. It's now something you can deal with.
Have you met anybody that's come to camp sort of giving it there is nothing wrong with my life. There is nothing wrong with me. I'm on top of the world.
Yeah, dozens.
I'm just fat.
Yeah, dozens.
and what? How
they're always full of shit. Yeah.
How does it kind of pan out? Do they realise?
It takes what generally happens, not always, but what generally happens is that person will sit with that for weeks, and they'll be adamant. There's nothing wrong. They're just
is it a pride, a saving face thing, or
I think probably is a little
dishonesty,
a little bit pride. Some people do lie to themselves about it. For sure, people really struggle to be honest with themselves because it's that thing. Once you've admitted it, it's out there, and it's everyone kind of knows, or and you've admitted it. It's true. It's the same with with alcoholism, with drugs, all those things. Until you admit there's a problem, you can't really deal with it. Yeah. And that's what I think people don't want to admit it sometimes because then it's real. If you know what I'm saying, they've come to camp with the idea that I just need to do the exercise, I need to eat the right food, and I'll be thin again, and I'll be fine. And we've had a lot of people like that. But the ones that really become successful, who come with that attitude, are the ones that really have a massive breakthrough at some point. And by breakthrough, I know a lot of people think, "Oh, that's amazing," but usually that's a lot of tears, a lot of one-to-one coaching moments, a lot of time
A lot of difficult
really
questions.
reflect, a lot of difficult questions, a lot of really pushing them emotionally, mentally, to the point where they do have to hit rock bottom because they have to really realise that it is their fault. Like, and that sounds so harsh, but it is. You know, there's no point blaming anyone else or anything else because nothing that anyone else has done to you in your life has made you fat.
And the inverse is that if you don't take responsibility, you will never break free of it.
Absolutely.
Because if it's always someone else's fault, you're always waiting for someone else to fix it.
Yeah, 100%. And which was, I was definitely in that position for a long time.
Really? I mean, that surprises me like it does.
Yeah, I think before I came to camp, I'd come to that point where I think the reason I came to camp was because I'd had that moment already.
Yeah.
And I'd sort of come to that realisation where I was like, there was a lot of shit going on in my life, but actually I was just eating myself into oblivion. And that was because and I think like Georgia said in the documentary, if you watch it, well, you should watch it.
BBC,
yeah,
catch
BBC. It's a type of self-harm. The people that really do have binge eating issues and overeating issues, it is self-harm. And it's because you just... whereas I suppose with cutting and other ways of self-harm, it's about feeling something. This is about suppressing the feelings for me. That's what it was for me. It was about, going to eat so much that will satisfy something. And it never does. The reality is it never does because food won't satisfy an emotion or a mental or a psychological need. But I was very much in a place for a few years where it was like, oh no, it's this person's fault. It's because of that job. It's because I'm going to the gym 3 times a week. I'm playing football once a week. I'm eating the right things, but I wasn't eating the right things. I was just lying to myself and everyone around me because that's easier than
But was you lying to yourself, or did you honestly believe what you was eating was healthy food?
I think
or a combination of the two.
It's a bit of a combination, yeah. Because my meals were always healthy because my mum's a brilliant cook. She would always cook the right things for me because she was always, she struggled as well. She's been to camp for a week. She absolutely killed it and
smashed it.
Yeah, really smashed it. And I was there thinking we need to have the ambulance on standby. Like, let's everybody be careful. Nobody push her too hard. And she went out and made me look like an idiot because she did better than most of them out there. Lost 10 pounds and
she had enough breath to be like, "You all right, Ricky? I hope my son's okay."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, where's my baby? And, oh, thanks, mum. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, but it's crazy stuff like that. But so I was always eating the right meals. It was all the bits between and after the meals, which is a big problem for a lot of people. But then also the binges, I think. Yeah.
But the little bits between, we don't often account for those, do we? Like that.
Ever.
And I've met people and I've coached people and have said, the meals are great, and what's not being said is between meals they're snacking like crazy.
Absolutely, yeah.
Meals within meals, really, but because it's on the hoof, on the move, they're not really accounting for it.
Yeah, the 2 packs of biscuits with a cup of tea, that's never counted, is it? It doesn't count because I'm not sat down having it. Which is again another thing we do at camp is the mindful eating. You sit down and you eat when you eat, and when you're not eating, whatever. But if you're eating, you sat down.
Was there any? I know you was chatting away there about you, but anyway, let's crack on. Was there ever a rule at camp where you're like, this fucking grinds my gears? A few,
yeah.
Well, like the early mornings.
The early mornings, fucking hate the early mornings. So obviously, you guys won't know that I haven't done a full training week as a camper for probably 6 months now, and so this is my first one back. I'm just finished it. This is Thursday now, and that first Saturday, I was so hard to get out of bed. On my work weeks, I'm getting up early anyway. I'm up at 6 anyway. But when
the thought of going out,
getting up and going out in the cold and going down to the wishbone and running up and down that hill, I remember it all flooded back to me in that moment of when the alarm went off and I was like, oh shit, I'm doing it again. I did this for 9 months. Why am I doing this again? But because I want to and I need to. But that was always, early mornings always killed me. Parade. Especially when it's something you're doing inside. Always hated that. Yeah. But understood the reasons. What else is there? There's a few, but silly little things. But things that are important, really. It wouldn't work without one of the rules. One of the rules comes away, then something else will fall apart. And
so this time, so you did 9 months.
Yeah.
You had a 6-month gap.
Yep.
Where you kind of do your own training and all that kind of stuff. Now you've just finished another week, almost like the first week again.
First week again, yeah.
What did you see this time round, either in the program, the training, or in other boot campers, that you perhaps wouldn't have noticed at the start?
It's a lot easier now to spot when somebody needs that extra push and when somebody needs to be left alone. when I was a camper, I was always the one, giving a lot of encouragement. I was always there, giving every single person encouragement because that's just the kind of person I like to be. And when I'm training, that's what I do. But then actually now I've gone through all the process. I've done the coaching stuff. I've got the more understanding of people, I think. You can see when people actually, they really don't want to be pushed or they don't need to be. And actually when you push them, they then go, oh, fuck off. I don't need that right now. And the people that are sort of giving themselves a bit of an easy ride and you go, right, I'll stick on them for a bit. And that's much easier to read now, especially having been on the other side. You get to know the trainers a bit better. You get to talk to trainers and you understand how they see it and how they think and how they develop the sessions, all those sort of things, which is super interesting. And then I think why we do a lot of stuff that we do, obviously, is a lot easier to see now, because when you're on the campus side, you go, oh, why is this happening now? Why have we got to do this? Why have we got to do that? Or, I feel like I'm at school again. But actually, all of it's super integral. Like, there's nothing we do at camp that isn't important, that isn't for a reason, We don't do anything for the sake of it. And once you get to grips with that, it's like, brilliant. And actually, do you know what? It's going to sound stupid, but camp's one of the easiest things you can do because all of your choice is taken away. And I mean, if you could go and say to a single mum who's got 3 kids, you can go somewhere for a week and you don't have to think about anything but waking up and putting your clothes on.
Yeah.
How many of them go, I'm in.
Yes, please.
Take me now. I don't care what it is, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And that's what it is, camp. It is. You wake up, you put your clothes on, and you just do what you're told for a day. And you get fed, you get a nice bed to go back to, you get a shower, you get everything you need, and that's it. And then you sleep, and then you get up and do it the next day. It's that simple, and that's what I think. A lot of people go, oh yeah, but I've got to do that session, then we've got to do that session, then we've got to. Don't think about it. Just get up, do it, and do what you're told, and stick to the program. It's that easy. So
you had, which is great insight. Yeah. You talked about your meditation. You're doing that. I mean, do you have a little meditation routine? Is it the same every time? I mean, how do you kind of
I sort of do that? I'm still new to it in a way. Like, I know I've been doing it for a while, but I fall in and out of it quite a lot, and that's when I think my routine falls apart a bit. But so for me, it tends to be, what am I feeling today? What do I think I want to work on? What am I thinking about a lot? Is it about food? Is it about body image? Is it about just peacefulness? Mental calm, that sort of thing. And then I'll just Google, YouTube, 5-10 minute mental calmness meditation, guided, bang, put it on, put the headphones in, and then, to be fair, I'm usually asleep before the end of it. But, and I'll just do that, and then I'm just it's changing your state. That's all it is. It's just super simple. You don't have to do anything again. You just put headphones on, and that's it. You're away. The
changing the state thing, I mean, you just threw it out as like a comic, but, can you dive into that a little bit?
I mean, change of state is I think it's a little bit what we're saying about responsibility. It's kind of, so you can have something happen, you can then make a choice of how you feel about it, and sometimes you don't choose because it's a split decision. Somebody does something and it's something that always pisses you off, and that's it. You're just off. You're gone.
A habit,
or it's a habit. Yeah, exactly. It's a
program
behavior, whatever it is, and it just sets you off, and you're pissed. That's it. You're done. I'm in a shit place. I really don't want to think about it. I don't want to talk to that person. I don't want to talk to anyone. I'm going to close myself in my room. So then, that point, what do you do? So changing your state is about going, right, I'm now aware of this feeling. It's about the self-awareness of going, right, I'm in this position where I am in that shit place, and I can either fall into my old patterns of either eating or whatever it is that you do to cope with that feeling, or I can change my state. I can take those 5 minutes to meditate. I can go to a different room. I can move my room about. I mean, Paul loves to change her office about when she wants to change of state. She'll move the stuff, furniture around, stuff like that. Things like that. Simple. Make your bed. Anything is just.
Mine's have a shower. If I have a shower, or I've even gone back to bed, 5 minutes, done a little meditation, got out of bed again. Literally,
start again.
Yeah, start again.
100%. And that's it. And then your mind will switch. And the more you do that, the more that you go, oh, I'm in that shit place, change my state. The less times you'll find yourself in that shit place. That's the whole idea of it.
Do you think in the past you would manufactured a shitty state as an excuse to go and eat?
100%. I used to get 100%. So I was when I was little, when I'm talking sort of 6, 7, I would say genuine anger issues. I would fly off the handle at pretty much anything, and I was a little
for any reason, or just
being told off, not being told I couldn't do stuff I wanted to do. Food was always one. Like, no, you can't have that. Well, fuck you. Obviously, I didn't swear when I was that age, but I was the little shit who would go to my room, write mum a letter telling me how much I hate her because I got a biscuit, and then and then half an hour later tell her how much I love her because I want a biscuit. But yeah, no, I was a little shit, and I dealt with that in my own. I don't remember. I think I did go see a therapist at the time and little things and worked on that, and then it became a thing of I would hold stuff in for so long that then a little thing would send me off the handle. Prime example, me and my dad never really saw eye to eye on a lot of stuff. We don't talk now, but we never saw eye to eye on a lot of things, and we would have these arguments about pretty much nothing. It would be something like I was working and he made some comment about food and about what I ate. And it was, do you know what? It was one of those things where he was right, and I fucking hate admitting that. I really do hate admitting that. But he was right in what he said. It was something about I always eat too much or something basic. Yeah. And that was it. I was like, do you know what? Fuck you. I don't need this shit. Blah, 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 blah. Gave him a load of shit and then got in my car and drove straight to McDonald's. But actually, what have I done there? He said something that I don't want to hear. And so I've gone, right, I'm going to do exactly what you said I do. Prove you wrong or not. Like, brilliant. Go and spend 20 quid at McDonald's that I don't have. It was that simple. Yeah. Silly little comments. And certain people would just make me spin off. I mean, I think everyone has that. There's somebody who could be right every time, but you just, that person, you're like, I don't want to fucking hear it from you.
Yeah. What do you have a mantra or a quote or a couple of quotes that you use a lot or that you've picked up?
George will hate me for this. So there's one I came up with in Conquer Food that it's for me at the time. It was not. We were doing the Babel cards, and it's you pick an image and then you just come up with something from that image that you get drawn to an image and then you think of why it drew you in. And I just picked up a picture of the moon, and for me it was I was in a place where I was like I want to show off what I've got. I want my talents to be seen. I want to be the person I always dream about being and always think I'm never going to be that person, and I'm fed up of that sort of feeling. Yeah, so Georgia is going to properly hate me for this because she always goes.
Is that literally what she does?
Literally, yeah. No, pretty much bang on, yeah. Whether it's her or Winnie, one of the two. But so it was I just sort of thought it's easy to be like the sun and shine when everything around you is bright, but I want to be like the moon and shine even when everything around me is dark. That was it. Just simple thing like that.
But that is pretty profound. It's not. Yes, it's simple, but it's it's pretty profound.
Yeah. So and that was just one I came out with in a Conquer Food session, and Paula loved it obviously, and Georgia was like, oh, fuck, another one of your little things. But she'll hate me for that impression as well. But yeah, so that one has always stuck with me, and I genuinely believe that. I think if you can learn to be the person you want to be, even when the shit hits the fan, then you've won. You've done it. That's where you are. And I think people really struggle with that, and I still struggle with that. Everyone struggles with that. It's not easy when everything's telling you not to be happy, or to be kind, or to be
I think
any of those things.
We thrive on pity and
100%
and bloody drama as well, don't we? I mean, you've got to look at what's going on with the coronavirus and all that kind of stuff, and the amount of people that are like caught in a proper little drama world. It's.
I mean, you've got medical professionals saying everyone needs to calm the fuck down. It's really not what the media are making it out to be. But that's a perfect example. This world thrives on drama and jeopardy and those things. But why? Why do we let them do it? And we're becoming, unfortunately, don't want to get too political at all, but the UK is in danger of becoming like America with this whole, cycle of fake news and politically paid for news that we believe because nobody tells us it's paid for by the politicians,
Yeah.
And I think we've got to be really careful. But yeah, that's the whole side thing.
What other have you got?
Other mantras,
another mantra or a popular quote?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, it's there's a lot. The trainers all have their special ones. That you let them. Reg's special one, is if you cut corners here, you'll cut corners in life. And I love that one's a good one. Just simple stuff like you can do it. You smashed it. Just positive little, and taking the little wins and going, I did that. Yeah, brilliant. I think there's so many big. I always say, I think that's one of the biggest things. And I say that about a lot of stuff, but one of the biggest things is self-awareness. It's that taking time to go, I've done that, and that was me. Like, there's nothing wrong with bigging yourself up. People have become so scared of going, look what I've done, because they're like, oh, all right, yeah, show off. No, I did fucking do it.
Yeah,
and I don't care if you're jealous.
Catching yourself being good as well, because we're very, very good at catching ourselves being bad.
100%.
You know what I mean, and beating ourselves up with the old bloody guilt thing. But catch yourself being good. So let's say that we fast forward 50 years.
Yeah.
And you're on your last legs, and your little grandson comes in and he's overweight.
Mm-hmm.
What would be your advice to him? What would you say?
That's a big one, isn't it? What are the big things? What would I say to him? What would I say to him?
Can't believe I've got speechless.
I know, yeah. I know, you got me. I think trying to keep it shorter, but, love yourself. Nobody can tell you who to be but you. And just life is a lot easier when you're healthy. Life is better.
Yeah.
I am mentally 300,000 times better when I'm healthy, when I'm eating right, when I'm exercising, than when I'm not. And it's so obvious to people around me and to myself. When I have my little lulls of where I'll go back to sort of old habits and I'll end up eating something I shouldn't be eating, and not I shouldn't be eating. Eat something I didn't want to eat really, but felt like I did. I was suppressing an emotion with it or whatever it was, and I'm not training and I'm being lazy. I feel like shit, and I start thinking much more negatively. I start seeing everything much more negatively. I blame everything else for it, and then until I catch myself, it's really hard to not think that way. So what would I say to him? Roll with the punches. There's a lot of things that people throw at you, people give you shit, people take the piss, whatever it is. I was never one to be hugely affected by bullying or people looking or people saying stuff. I was always quite lucky in that I was
thick-skinned,
and I'd go, that's their own issue. That's nothing to do with me. What they've just said or what they've just done, nothing to do with me really. It's actually their own shit that they're dealing with. And I think that's me being sometimes too kind and too forgiving. But and then I get my friends around me going, oh, that bloke's looking at you. I'm like, is he? That's good for him. He can stare what he likes, and I don't care. I'm also not the person to go take a picture or last longer. I'm not that guy either. I'm just the person to go, here's what it is. I don't care. Why bother myself with that little petty shit? That guy's probably got his own trouble in life, his own problems going on. I don't need to bother him with my own shit, and he can look at me all he likes, And at the end of the day, I was fat. I was really, really fucking fat. And if I'd seen me in the street, I probably would have stared. So can I blame somebody for that? I mean, people that make comments, again, it's that age-old thing that your mum tells you and your teachers tell you. A bully will only be bullying you because they've got their own problems, Ignore them. It's true. It's 100% true. Everybody I've spoken to who has been that person in the past and been a bully and been a horrible person and said things they wish they hadn't said, you speak to them 10 years later and they'll 9 times out of 10 regret it. And they'll go, I said those things because I was dealing with my own shit and I was trying to take it out on somebody else. That's the truth of it, and it is true. So if somebody says something horrible to you, just go send some love to them. That's the truth. And that's a very Paula way of thinking about things, and that's the right way of thinking about things. We did she's christened the last week with the kindness and love meditation. And it was there was a moment where she asked us to think of somebody we really don't like, but just to send them some love, and it takes some time and it takes a minute to really get there. But yeah, why not? I've got no ill will towards anyone in the world. If they've got their own problems, they've got their own way of thinking. That's their problem. But why send them anything but love? Because that's all that's all I want to give out.
I think it's one of those things, and we'll kind of wrap up in a minute, but it's one of those things in it where ultimately all we're doing is carrying around baggage.
Yep.
On the back of someone else's words, actions, whatever, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And ultimately just harming ourselves over and over again, hitting ourselves with a stick. Put the fucking stick down. Exactly. You know what I mean? Let it go.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's take take a leaf out of some of the people in the world's book, you know, a Gandhi kind of figure, you know, there's a reason they looked up to and they thought about all the time. It's because they had some pretty good ways of looking at life, and they lived a pretty happy life with nothing. So,
right, Rick, we're gonna wrap up. That's good. It's been a great little chat.
I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, we'll definitely do more, and we'll definitely drag in some of your muckers, some of your mates, and have a little bit of a conversation, what have you. Anything that I should have asked you that you expect me to ask?
Oh, it's a tough one. No, I don't think so. I think we've covered a lot. I waffle on a lot. I know I like to waffle. So, no, I think we've gone through a lot, and I'm sure there'll be other stuff that we'll come up with in other podcasts. So we'll deal with it then.
Okay, so finally, then, just some words of encouragement for people out there that are perhaps struggling and have similarities in their life to you. What would you say to them quickly?
You can do it. There is a way. It might not be boot camp. It might be something else in your life, but there is a way. Nothing is forever. Make the change today. Don't wait till tomorrow. Amazing. Right, Ricky, thank you very much. Thank you. I look forward to the... bloody hell, I forgot the old music again. Hey. Keep doing that. We'll have to just pad it out for a couple of seconds until the music kicks in. No, seriously, thanks a lot for your effort. You're heading up to camp now for your end of week certificate. End of week videos and certificates. Yeah.
What's the chances of you getting the boot camper of the week?
Well, I've been here a year and a half and I haven't had it yet, so I'm not hoping. Never had it because the trainer's a dick. So
always someone else's fault.
Yeah.
and what about Georgia? Has she ever had it?
She's had it. Yeah.
How many times?
Once. Yeah, but that's just because she pestered Taz enough.
Is that what it was?
No, she trained hard.
All right, mate. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
and, see you in the next episode.
See ya.